Oh, there it is. I can see it in the shadow. Good morning. I'm Helen Foss, and I have the pleasure of welcoming you as today's worship associate. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware. Welcome to all of you who are here this morning in our sanctuary. There's lots of you. And welcome to all of you who are at home joining us online. Welcome to you all, no matter the hue of your skin or the origin of your ethnicity. Welcome whomever you love and wherever you are on your spiritual journey. You are welcome here. If you're new to First Unitarian, I invite you to check out our website, firstuuwilm.org, to learn more about us and to sign up for our email newsletter that comes in your mail inbox on your computer every Friday. Want to make sure that you know that we're going to have coffee and conversation in the parish hall afterwards, and you're all welcome to join us. And I want to tell you how delighted and intrigued I was after I agreed to be today's worship associate, that Richard Speck was going to focus on the singer-songwriter Holly Near and the topic of singing for protest for change. I really didn't know Holly Near, though I was moved by her hymn that we're singing this morning. But I came of age as a young adult in that challenging civil rights era of the 1960s that were rich with protest songs that captured my very soul. Joan Baez performed at the Greek Theater just blocks from our Berkeley, California apartment, thrilling us with her in-person singing of her songs that we had grown to love. I think I learned all of the Peter, Paul, and Mary songs and sang them on my rickety old ukulele as we traveled across country. And I taught my classes Pete Seeger's If I Had a Hammer and Woody Guthrie's This Land Was Made for You and Me, and felt my patriotic spirit soar with the values that I embraced. I've told our story before as to how disillusioned we had been with the organized religion in which we had been raised, and how our discovery of Unitarian Universalism offered us a new spiritual home and eventually this community. It was years later that I participated in the Women's March on Washington and witnessed protesters with ugly signs of aborted fetuses along the sideline. And there was a group of UUs who approached them singing the hymn we will sing today, Holly Near's We Are a Gentle, Angry People. It was perfect. I was so proud and grateful for their gesture. Again today, we are experiencing truly troubled times that often remind me of the turmoil of those civil rights days. I'm looking forward to Richard's introducing us to more of Holly Near's work and to consider ways in which we can find hope in these current troubled times of ours. Now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
When in our music God is glorified, and adoration leaves no room for pride, it is as though the whole creation cried, Alleluia. How often, making music, we have found a new dimension in the world of sound, as worship moved us to a more profound Alleluia. So has the church, in liturgy and song, in faith and love, through centuries of wrong, borne witness to the truth in every tongue. Alleluia. Let every instrument be tuned for praise. Let all rejoice who have a voice to raise. And may God give us faith to sing always. Alleluia.
I've always loved that hymn. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it now as Reverend Richard lights our chalice here in the sanctuary while I read these words entitled On the Brink by Leslie Takahashi, who served as moderator for All Souls Unitarian in Washington, D.C. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a deeper joy in this life we share. Please join us now in body or spirit as you are willing and able to sing Holly Near's hymn, the one I heard at the Women's March. Number 170, We Are a Gentle, Loving People. And thank you, Darlene Scott and David Cullmann, for leading us in singing.
Singing for life.
singing, singing for our lives.
Please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
May we join together in a moment of prayer and meditation. O Spirit of life and love, we are always concerned with time. We have developed expressions for this. Time waits for no one. Take as much time as needed. But what is time? Why are we fascinated with it? Because time is the essence of our existence. Time is the demarcation of our lives. We exist for a period of time and then we are no more, just a collective memory in those who remain. Time marks off the seasons of the world we inhabit. But isn't this an arbitrary choice on our part? We choose to divide existence into years, months, days, hours, minutes, seconds. It is for our use that the concept of time was developed. But the important point in all this is not that we demark our existence into moment-by-moment segments. It is how we choose to exist at that moment. We cannot change the ongoing continuance of existence, but we can determine what we will make of that existence. We can choose to hate or love. We can choose to kill or save. We can choose to hurt or help. It is our choice how we use the time that we have. In these quiet moments, we should ask ourselves these questions. Have I used my time wisely? Have I been a help or a hindrance to my fellow human being? How can I change my life to better the lives of others in the time that remains? What can I do to show my love for others? Our answers are the guideposts to a life well lived, so that when the end of our time comes, we shall not have lived in vain. May ours be a faith that is more than just beautiful words and high ideals. May ours be a faith of vitality and commitment, a faith that burns in our hearts and blazes in our minds. May ours be a faith that shines to the world as the light of deeds and the witness of actions. May we use our time wisely in service to our fellow humans. O source and spirit of our lives, may we respond boldly to your call to adventure, for justice, for love, and for joy. Now is the time. As we continue this time of prayer and meditation, let us join together in a time of shared silence. Each week, when we gather here in this sanctuary, we take time to attend to the concerns for ourselves, for those that we love, and for our larger world. We hold these in our hearts. So let us take a moment now to listen to what it is you are holding in your own heart. And those of you who are online, you can write your concern in the chat. May all whose names were spoken and those unspoken find peace and healing this day. My reading today comes from the autobiography of Holly Near, titled Fire in the Rain, Singer in the Storm. Cameras were clicking and questions were flying. I was terribly excited. Then a disembodied voice from the press called out, "Miss Near!" Adrenaline shot up my back to the top of my head. I stood up nervously and said, "Yes?" And he asked, "How do you think traveling with Miss Fonda is going to affect your career?" My career, I thought. My career? What is this man talking about? I've made a couple of bad movies. So I asked him what career he was referring to. As it turned out, my grade B movies had been playing in the Philippines, and unbeknownst to me, I was a movie star. I felt embarrassed. This wasn't how I wanted to be seen in the world. Nor was it how I wanted life in the United States to be perceived. I was sad to discover that some of our worst films and music were being exported, and young kids there were buying it. The weight of this discovery never left me. I have referred back to this moment often over the years when facing my responsibilities as an artist, rewriting the words to the song "Old Time Woman," changing words that were demeaning to old people, becoming aware of the use of blindness as a poet's metaphor for ignorance, noticing how many folk songs have a jealous man murdering his love and throwing her in the river, evaluating the manner in which art is presented as well as the content, trying to read the effect a piece is having on an audience in order to improve the presentation. Even as a child, I knew the power of art. But it was becoming more clear how its power could be used against a people as well as for a people. A lullaby can put a child to sleep. However, music can be used to put a whole nation to sleep. Music can rouse people and inspire action, but witness the use of the brass band to call men and women to war. And so I return to his question. How will this work with Jane Fonda affect my career? Completely. I am open and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. This song by Holly Near has captivated my heart ever since I first heard it. I Am Willing is a song released in 2006 from the album Show Up. She had written it 3 years earlier. Holly said, I was trying to say to myself, why is it that we don't have a word for what people like me believe? I was trying to see if I could write about it in a song. And it kind of came down to, I'm open and I'm willing. Holly Near was born in 1949 in Ukiah, California, to a family that encouraged creativity. She experienced racism toward Native people in her own community at an early age, and that influenced her the rest of her life. By age 10, she had sung in a mental hospital and seen up close the ill treatment of patients. Her family didn't get their first TV until she was 16, and then she saw footage of the civil rights movement. Another major influence on her life started with those videos that she saw on that TV. Holly protested military recruiters at her high school, and this also shaped her life. And this is a picture of her as a kid with her sister. She's the taller one. By 1968, Holly and her sister Timothy, that's her sister's name. She called her sister Tim, obviously. But they had sung in prisons. Holly started classes at UCLA and was cast in several musicals in college. Her academic career ended after just a few months when she was spotted by agents and drawn into the world of film and television. She was cast in the movie Angel, Angel, Down We Go, and landed roles on TV in The Partridge Family and The Mod Squad. Some of you remember those. She did guest spots on TV shows like Room 222, All in the Family, and played supporting roles in films like John Cassavetes' Minnie and Moskowitz and George Roy Hill's Slaughterhouse-Five. She left for New York and soon had a role in Hair on Broadway for a short time. After her short run in Hair on Broadway, Holly soon turned to singing full-time, either as a soloist, but as well sharing the stage with her sisters Laurel and Timothy. Throughout her career, she has enjoyed collaborations with artists such as Mercedes Sosa, Ronnie Gilbert, Inti Illimani, Emma's Revolution, and her longtime songwriting partner, the late Jeff Langley. She auditioned for Free the Army, an anti-war touring show starring Donald Sutherland and Jane Fonda. The cast was only 8 people doing the skits and songs. It was an attempt to rally people to what was actually happening in Vietnam by the United States. They toured in the Pacific, and her work with Free the Army inspired her to write over a dozen songs, many of which were on her first solo recording, Hang In There, which was recorded in 1973 when she was 24 years old. And you can take that picture down. There is hurting in my family. There is sorrow in my town. There is panic in the nation. There is wailing the whole world round. But before she recorded her first album, Holly worked as the receptionist for the defense in the Pentagon Papers. Through her work as a receptionist, she got to meet Daniel Ellsberg and Tom Hayden. So there's a picture of them together a little bit later. This led to another anti-war tour called the Indochina Peace Campaign with Ellsberg, Hayden, Fonda, Ramsey Clark, and Dick Gregory in 1972. She was writing and singing songs against the war and honing her ability to sway an audience with her music. Let me point out, 1972, she was born in 49. You can do the math. She's in her early 20s and already touring the world. Holly got more film, TV, and theater work in Hollywood after the tour ended. She appeared on an episode of All in the Family, created by Norman Lear. Then she decided to form her own record company to issue her records. She started Redwood Records, with her parents being the home office and mail order house. By 1975, Holly performed in the Building Women show in Los Angeles with Lily Tomlin, Meg Christian, Chris Williamson, Margie Adam, and the Alice Stone's Ladies Society Orchestra. So here's a picture of that poster when it was first announced. This was the beginning of her to sing feminist music, and she publicly declared herself as a lesbian in 1976. She had a love affair with Meg Christian for over 3 years before they broke up. Holly went on to support the United Farm Workers, that union during this time as they struggled for better working conditions in the fields of California. She also had her sister, Timothy, to sign songs at concerts, introducing American Sign Language for the first time to many hearing audiences, and was instrumental in developing access for hearing-impaired people to concerts. She worked with other sign language interpreters to be able to paint her music in that language. But I am open, and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. You can take that one down. Oh, it is down, sorry. Holly took a women's peace delegation to Hiroshima in 1977 that included Bernice Reagan of Sweet Honey in the Rock and Amy Horowitz, a well-known musician. This moved Holly into the anti-nuclear war movement as well as the other causes she supported. when San Francisco Supervisor Harvey Milk and Mayor George Moscone were murdered in November 1978, Holly and Tori Osborne drove there in the rain, and on the way, Holly hummed a melody to keep her from sinking into despair. Then came the words. At that vigil that night on Castro Street, the crowd brought their rage, their candles, and their voices together. Holly led them in singing, "We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives." This song has become an anthem for the LGBTQ plus community and is sung at pride parades and concerts. That song was included in our 1993 hymnal, and we sang it this morning. It is still a favorite of mine. May the children see more clearly, may the elders be more wise, may the winds of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. Holly Near helped promote the career of Sweet Honey in the Rock by coordinating their tour and producing their record, Believe I'll Run On, See What the End's Gonna Be. A first coalition effort in 1979. Out of that struggle to understand Black people and their yearnings came a new awareness on Holly's part. She said, "I went to work on my racism actively and aggressively, which in large part meant scrutinizing cultural misunderstanding. She learned to sit quietly, to not always know what to do, and tried to rid herself of assumptions about others." Near began a long-term relationship with a man in 1994 and alienated some of her lesbian audience who felt it was a loss for their community. She said this in 1994, "I am a feminist. If I am with a woman, I am a feminist. If I am alone, I am a feminist. If I am with a man, I am a feminist. My feminism and ability to love has been highly informed by having had lesbian relationships. The quality of my life has, without question, been elevated. I am going to sing lesbian love songs and support gay rights no matter what. The rest is public relations." She has had relationships with various men and women throughout her life. Holly states that she is monogamous, and this defines her sexuality more than any other title. Her music reflects this understanding, even though some find it confusing. "But I am open, and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change." Holly Near had the honor of delivering the 2003 prestigious Ware Lecture for the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly. I was there for that. She spoke in story and song of her own personal history to share some of the moments in my life that kept me an activist. From the modeling of critical thinking and responsibility by her mother and father, to her own overcoming of shyness and embarrassment to add her voice to opposition to war during her college years, to a career in television She said, the Partridge Family made me a feminist. Near's tales of earlier experiences were interwoven with songs, "Something Changes in Me," and "I Am Open and I Am Willing." This may have been the first time she sang that song in public for us, Unitarian Universalists. She said, my career in Hollywood got interrupted. I got distracted by the world. She began to work against militarism, for women, for gay and lesbian rights, and while she admitted that she'd been accused of being a cause hopper, she said that she saw what connected us. Her goal, she said, was to be fascinated rather than fearful. We are racing through space at an unimaginable speed. What shall we do today? Holly saw the interconnectedness of issues long before others did. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. Holly Near stated, I do not separate my music from my heart, nor do I separate my ideas from my daily life. I open myself up to learning as much as I can about humanity and this mysterious life processes and experiences, but I do not relate to political work as a series of causes. Moment by moment, I integrate what I learn into my personal life, personalizing my politics. It is from this personal place that I write my songs. Holly is known for the anthemic quality of some of her songs. As a songwriter, she takes up the challenge of turning big concepts into small personal stories. In response to the slaughter of the students at Kent State, she wrote, "It could have been me." The chilling disappearance of people in Chile under the Pinochet dictatorship brought forth "Hay una mayor desaparecida." The title translates into "There is a woman missing in Chile." And it describes the junta kidnapping and killing women who protested the cruel regime. During her long career in folk and protest music, Near has worked with a wide array of musicians, including Ronnie Gilbert, Pete Seeger, Arlo Guthrie, Mercedes Sosa, Bernice Johnson Reagan, Bonnie Raitt, Jackson Brown, Meg Christian, Chris Williamson, Linda Tillery, Joan Baez, Phil Oakes, Harry Belafonte, and many others, as well as the Chilean exile group Inti Illimani. In 2000, Holly released an album called Edge, which had a song called I Ain't Afraid, which spoke to my sense of religion when I first heard it. So listen to the lyrics and think of how religion is being used today to harm people who are trying to be fully human in today's world. I ain't afraid of your Yahweh. I ain't afraid of your Allah. I ain't afraid of your Jesus. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. I ain't afraid of your churches. I ain't afraid of your temples. I ain't afraid of your praying. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. Rise up to your higher power. Free up from fear, it will devour you. Watch out for the ego of the hour. The ones who say they know it are the ones who will impose it on you. I ain't afraid of your Yahweh. I ain't afraid of your Allah. I ain't afraid of your Jesus. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. That's not all the verses, but you get the point. In 2004, Holly joined Eve Ensler in the Mexican city of Juarez to march against the uninvestigated killing of hundreds of young women. In Toledo, Ohio, she sat as a witness to the testimony of women reporting rape and other violence against women. Holly helped raise funds for 10,000 Kites, a collaborative anti-war project between young people from Israel and Palestine who, in the spring of 2005, flew kites over the wall that separated them. In 2006 and again in 2007, Holly was among thousands of protesters in Columbus, Georgia, to demand the closure of the infamous School of the Americas, where military police from around the Americas are trained in the methods, including repression and torture, used to undermine democracy around the region. Holly has continued singing and touring. In 2010, she was in Chile when the huge earthquake hit. In 2013, she toured Nicaragua. Looking at her tour schedule for 2023, for this fall, she is scheduled to sing in 13 locations, including 3 UU churches. While age has slowed down her body, some with cancer treatments, and you can see that she lost some of her hair. She had cancer treatments in 2014 and then in 2022, and had a broken arm and shoulder from a fall in the winter of 22. She continues to sing and activate for the people and causes that she holds dear. She has recorded 26 albums, either solo or in collaboration with others that she admires, like Pete Seeger and Ronnie Gilbert. Her songs of protest will continue to be sung, and her activism will continue to inspire women and men around the world. In the epilogue to her 1990 autobiography, Holly wrote this: "I have always felt that many people confuse capitalism with democracy. And while trying to get what we have, will the new seekers of freedom forget, or having never seen it, innocently overlook, that capitalism has failed at caring for its people, and that what we have alongside the very rich is homelessness, a health crisis, illiteracy, violence out of control, and freedom of the press to choose what information and attitudes to impart? And how do we obtain collective power without it being at someone else's expense? How can we be together on this planet with our glorious differences? How do we take the environment seriously when she speaks to us? In order to be truly human, it is not necessary that we face these questions with our families, with our neighbors, and with the world. Is it not necessary that we face these questions with our families, with our neighbors, and with the world? These questions that she asked are as relevant today as they were when Holly Near wrote them over 33 years ago. Today, we face the same issues before us. Our nation is struggling to overcome racism, while people are calling for the elimination of diversity training. There are those who would deny trans people the medical care they need to be fully human. We are facing voter suppression, insurrection, environmental collapse, and so many other ills clamoring for our attention. It is at this moment that we need to sing together in solidarity. For we cannot do this alone. We need one another. Together, we continue to do our bit to improve the lives of those we love and our world. We can do no less. But I am open and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. If that's for me, I'm not here.
Richard, thank you. I loved every moment of it. Wow. I knew I was missing a lot, just a little bit that I knew about her. I am really impressed. Wow. And Lotus Cheng, thank you so much for your music again today. We're so happy to have you back at our piano this month. This is the time now in our service when we consider our gifts to our church. Sorry. It's the time we reflect on the importance of First Unitarian in each of our lives, what our church community means to us, how it has enriched our lives and that of our families, and how we are giving back. The latter may mean time, talent, or treasure. All three are essential, of course, but for the moment, we're focusing on the latter and asking for your financial support to keep the lights on and our staff and their work supported, and the church community to be available for each of us as our life moments of need should occur. As Lotus Cheng plays the offertory music, the 4 ways you give will appear on the screen. Those of you here in the sanctuary are encouraged to use the white offering baskets at the back of the room to deposit your check or cash. Please join me now in dedicating our offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Thank you, Lotus. If you've lit a chalice at home, you may extinguish the flame now as I read these words by UU Minister Kevin Jago from nearby Bucksmont? Bucksmont. When the candle dims, the wax almost spent, the light turns amber like a sunset. Still it provides light, still it provides heat, still it can kindle a new flame and pass its glow on and contribute to new illumination. When sunsets turn to new days, when seasons transform all, when the candle dims, all is not lost. Hope continues, uncertain and true, like candlelight ready to spark again. All is not lost.
I also want to give my thanks to David and Helen and Darlene and Lotus for our wonderful service today. So thank you. People say, what is the sense of our small effort? They cannot see that we must clay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has a right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to do. Now we will sing our closing hymn, I Am Willing. If you were listening, I sang it to you during the sermon. The words will appear on the screen. We will then conclude our service by greeting one another here warmly, talk to one another, and then join us in the parish hall for a time of refreshments.
Before us, so lift me up to the light sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. Dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light Amen.